Welcome to Sisters in Service podcast. Most of you know me as a strong advocate for women veterans in being recognized not only as veterans, but also as women who are changing the world through our passion of serving, even after service. This podcast is my passion by telling all the stories of military brats, military spouses, active duty, and veterans, not to forget the veteran service organizations that help us along our transition journey. I want to thank you in advance for listening. I hope that you will join me every week. A new podcast and episode comes out every Tuesday, so I hope that you will join and I hope that you enjoy. This podcast is brought to you by Small Space Pilates. Are you ready to get fit and fabulous from the comfort of your own home? Look no further than Small Space Pilates. With live online Pilates and strength training classes, a video library, and a no perfection allowed policy, you can achieve your fitness goals without ever leaving your house. Click on the link for your complimentary week and start your journey to feeling fabulous today. Welcome everyone to our latest episode of Sisters in Service. You know me, I am Kat Corchado. And today we're going to be speaking about caregiving. I know you're like, wait, seriously? But let me give you some statistics, okay, from the veteran aspect. Caregivers of veterans spend almost $11,500 on average in expenses. Now, we all know how much we make in the military, right? So that's a lot of money. And so there are more than 6.5 million veterans and military caregivers who provide over 14 billion nationwide in unpaid labor caring for their service members. That's a lot of money, you guys. Okay. So today I am speaking with Nancy May. Nancy and I met I won't say it was weird, but we connected because of the caregiver aspect of it. I saw her name, she saw what I did, and we connected and we had a great conversation. But Nancy May was a corporate leader, business advisor, author, speaker, nationally recognized podcast host in 2 industries. She worked with CEOs, board advisors, boards of directors, you name it, she did it. Until she started taking care of both of her parents. And she started out, helping them save money to the tune of $200,000 per year, unraveling the financial, the legal, the medical, the home care, the fraud and abuse, all of that. And she finally said, you know what, I really want to do this full time. And that's when she started her company. And she just decided that, this is something that we need to speak about. And so we've become fast friends, I think. Are we friends, Nancy?
Oh, yeah, I'd say we're sisters. Sisters from another mother.
And so I would like to introduce Nancy May. Nancy, it's great to have you here today.
Thank you, Kat. It's a pleasure to be here with you and your listeners.
Well, thank you. So, Nancy, this isn't just a veteran thing. This is a national,
this is a worldwide
crisis.
issue. This is not just, this is global. Yeah.
And can you tell our audience why you believe that this has become so huge and not in a good way?
Well, there are a couple of reasons. First of all, is that the aging population really is what we've got. There are 10,000 people turning 65 every day. I think the numbers now are looking at in the next 5 years, within 5 years, there will be more people who are over 50 than there are under 50, at least here in the United States. So just understanding, not that at 55 you're elderly, but it depends upon whether you're looking at 50 from a 10-year-old's perspective or a 49-year-old's perspective, right?
Exactly.
But even still, with that, it's understanding where the demographics are here in the United States and how they're impacting us personally in our own lives. So that's important. The other, as you and I have talked before, is really understanding that the business of aging care, and we're all aging. If we're not aging, we're not on this earth. So
And we're
we're
aging as we sit here today.
exactly. I said, I told my doctor one day, I said, well, the bad news, I had a birthday. The good news, I had a
Had a
birthday.
birthday.
So
I know.
every day,
Breathing, not
this side
breathing.
of the grass
Okay,
is
I
good.
got you. I got it.
So there's a lot of fun you can have with that. But still, the business of aging care has become one that is being circumvented or taken over by public companies, private equity, and not that private equity and public companies are bad, because they're here, right? But understanding how much this is changing the world of healthcare is critical. In fact, I just read, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I just read some information about how venture capital or private equity is taking over hospital systems, and the quality of the outcome of care, the comorbidity rates, or the mortality rates have significantly increased. I think it was by like 30% when a company or hospital system is taken over by either a PE or a for-profit institution. That's concerning.
So it seems like it's a money grab. It's like they see dollar signs, because even in the mail, I keep getting the, hey, Kat, come to the 55 and older community. Hey, Kat, do the caregiving thing over here. And when you think about the prices of some of these, and we're not talking about what my mother used to call the hoity-toity places, where they've got all the
No.
things. We're talking about just a regular service, where your parent can go and be taken care of, is in the thousands per month. Am I right, Nancy?
Yeah, starting in the thousands per month. So on average, depends upon where you're looking and who you're talking to. A number of insurance carriers will say, Genworth is a typical one. They'll go out and say, here's the numbers on average of what it costs to go into an assisted living. Now, understanding that assisted living means 2 to 3 meals a day and an apartment and some light housekeeping, which means somebody comes in with a Swiffer once a week and swifts your floors and maybe throw some new bed linens on your bed and gives you some fresh towels. Well, that's great if, in fact, you don't have incontinence, or your parents don't have incontinence issues, your loved one doesn't have incontinence issues, which means that those linens should be changed every single day. And you've got other health related issues as a result of that. Smells can cause health issues.
Yes.
So things happen very quickly. But the average, I think they're saying now, is somewhere around $3,700 or $3,800 a month. 3 meals a day in an apartment.
And we're not even talking
you
good
can get
meals.
an apartment and 3 meals a day for a lot less than that. Believe me.
You could probably get a nice apartment
depending upon where
less than
you live. We're not talking Manhattan, we're talking
Right.
elsewhere. But that said, so there's a certain level of peace of mind that families think that they have when there's, I say, Nurse Ratched or the gatekeeper in the building. However, when it comes to quality of care, on average, and now we're switching over to rehab facilities, because that's a whole different ballpark, and insurance will pick up a lot in rehab, especially if you've got Medicare or VA type of benefits. But there, it's not so much the cost, it's the quality of care. In those particular cases, you've got one aide or one depending upon what they call them, like tech workers, somebody who's going to change sheets and bathe and everything else and get you up and walking. One on average for every 17 to 20 people who are in a bed. Those people work 12-hour shifts. 12-hour shifts, 4 to 5 days a week on average. If you've got 17 to 20 people to bathe, to make sure they have food, to make sure that the sheets are changed, that they're getting up and walking, think about how much time and attention you're getting.
Not a lot. About the same amount you get when you go see a doctor nowadays.
Probably even less. So, and I'll give you an example. There was a fellow that I was talking to yesterday who's concerned about his mom, who's in a care facility. She's in a rehab or acute care facility right now. She has now got a bed wound, a sore, which can kill you.
Yes, it can.
People do not understand that a little tiny red mark on the skin how quickly that can turn into a very serious wound that turns into infection that can get into the bone and then
Yes.
can kill you very quickly or your
Yes.
loved one quickly. So now she's got that, and among other things. And he's like, how do I stop this? They're trying to stop. They can't fix it. Well, there are ways to fix it a lot more quickly than they're obviously dealing. I'm not a nurse, but I know what we dealt with and what our aides dealt with. And when you see those little tiny red spots, that's the cause for concern right then and there. So I'll give you one example. Some friends had they moved a mother and mother-in-law into what was considered one of the best facilities in their community up north. And she was fine when she went in. In less than 6 months, she got a bed sore that turned into like a stage 4, stage 5 wound, which means it goes in deep. It went into the bone, got into the blood system, a major infection, and she died
Oh my
in less
goodness.
than 6 months.
And paying all that money, it baffles me. And the reason, so for my audience, the reason that Nancy and I are talking about this is because I was in this situation briefly. When I say briefly, 2 months. It went from my brother said, "Hey, can mom stay for a little bit?" And 3 days later, my mom was here. And I was like, okay, I thought I had a
That
handle. I'm
sounds like a
working
bait and
outside
switch
the
job.
home, right? So I'm working outside the home. I'm trying to run my business. My mother's here, and my mother, she's barely mobile. She's diabetic. She has to eat, all the things, right? So several weeks into this, I went to a doctor, and the doctor asked me, he said, "Are you feeling okay? Because your blood pressure is a little high." So I'm thinking, okay, what's a little high? It was like 186 over, I don't know, 114, something like that. And I was like, I got scared because I thought, am I going to stroke out? He goes, "Well, how do you feel?" I said,
Yeah.
"I feel fine." He said, "Okay, it's situational."
Yeah.
Okay. She said, and the doctor asked me what was going on, and they said, okay. But the impact, not only
Yeah.
financially, but health wise to the caregiver is huge.
It is.
And so when my mom left, it literally took me 2 weeks to get back. I did not work out for 2 months. That's my bread and butter, you guys. That's what I do. I'm a movement specialist. I do Pilates, personal training. Guess who wasn't doing any of that for 2 months? Me. And so I started thinking, well, if I'm dealing with this, and I felt like if I hadn't been in the shape I was in, that it probably would have been worse.
Yep.
But I thought I was not ready. And so I became very, I don't know, not concerned. I became very curious, which is when I met Nancy, and we decided to talk about this. And so, Nancy, if this is continuing to happen,
Right.
and it's the people are aging, the caregivers, when does it get to a point where our society says, there's a problem?
You know,
Will that happen, or can you see it happening?
it's kind of like an unspoken problem, right? Everybody knows that it's there if you are going through it, or if you've experienced, or if you've seen another family member go through it, or a friend go through it. The challenge really is, I'd say, that as a society and even in the workforce, it's happening to them. It's not me.
Exactly.
And then when it does happen to you, you don't know where to go. And I think that, the biggest challenge is that we are hit with a new task or a new job and a huge responsibility without knowing how to cope in the process of managing that work and our own lives. So we've just added, undue stress on top of us. Not that we
Yes,
don't want to do well for our loved ones. We do.
absolutely.
But we want to do well for them, and we have to do good for us, because 40% of caregivers will die before the person they take care of.
But again, Nancy, you don't know what you're getting into. You think,
No,
okay,
you
I
don't.
got this.
Right.
And you don't know what you're getting into.
It
And the
creeps up.
effect is going to have, yes.
It's like the old
Mhm.
60s movie, The Blob. It sort of slowly creeps up and then
Yeah, it's like, oh, it's
sucks you in.
sucks you up.
Because now there's that guilt thing that happens,
Yes.
right? Now
Yeah.
there are ways to manage it and to do well,
But I
but
think
it
the mental and physical, I just remember my husband calling me. I'm in my car in the garage and I'm playing bubble pop or bubble wrap or something.
and the car is
In the
off
car
and the
in the garage.
garage door is
Yes.
up.
Yes. And my husband said, "Where are you?" And I said, "In the garage. I just needed 5 minutes to
Yeah,
myself." And who knew that would be such an issue? I didn't.
it's
And
huge.
I think it's important to understand that from some of these demographics, and I'm reading this by the way, caregivers tend to be predominantly female, about
Yeah.
60%, are often middle aged or older. There are younger caregivers under the age of 30 that make up a significant portion of the caregiver population. So why is it women, Nancy?
You know, I think that's just a human thing. You know, women take care of,
That's what
unfortunately,
we
you know,
do.
women, right,
Yes.
right. You know, it's an animalistic thing. Maybe it's like
Mhm.
women are the ones that take care of the kids, take care of the babies on average. Yes, there are house husbands where, you know, we go off and become CEOs and the guys take care of the kids that we bear. They haven't figured out how to do the other way around. But
Exactly.
but that tends to be sort of the natural, um, you know, nurture versus hunter gatherer. And I haven't never considered myself to be maternalistic. In fact, my mother one day said, "It's a good thing that you never became a mom because you'd be really bad at it." I'm like, wait a
Oh my
second.
God.
I'm taking care of you. Like, what part of mothering is that not? So, like, she had dementia, so I'll give her that break.
Yeah.
But mom was always a little snarky. Hence, you know where I came from. But so, you know, the guys are really struggling at this. I've had a number of conversations with men and talked to them and sort of given some counsel. And the ability to not know how to do this or wanting, and actually, I shouldn't say it's not know how to do that. They want to jump in, they want to do it. But it's sometimes also thinking that the sisters will step in and say, "Well, it's not fair that Susie's taking over this, but we'll handle the bills." Well, it's a lot more than just managing the bills. The
Right.
stress of hands-on care, of toileting, of dressing, and making sure food's on the table, and are they entertained, and are you interrupting them, or are they interrupting you in your workflow, and what happens if, oh my God, you know, now I have to call 911. No, I can't just send mom or dad off to the hospital by themselves. You better not,
Right.
because then you're SOL for sure.
Yes,
And
for
if you need help,
sure.
they're like, I'll tell you what to do in the book. But but that said, there's a lot of pressure that we as women in general, I think, also put on ourselves to be perfect at this. And I'm going to tell everybody here who's listening, there is no such thing as perfect.
No.
It's okay because a little creativity goes a long way. The idea here is really to make sure that the people or the loved ones that you're taking care of are safe. That's good enough.
It's
Safe is
day to
good enough,
day. It's day
right?
to day.
Absolutely.
You
And
can't
it
even think about
changes.
next week. I'm
No, no,
serious, you
you
can't.
really, well, you know, there are certain things that you do need to think of ahead of time,
Of
like, you know, what
course.
happens if,
Mhm.
because if you're not aware of what could happen, not to be overly obsessed about it, but it's just like if you're not if you're a veteran, if you're not prepared to go out on a battlefield and shoot somebody, if you have to for
Yes,
protection or
for
whatever else you
protection,
do,
right.
then you're going to die.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? The same thing as caregiving. If you're not prepared to be able to be aware of what happens if a medical emergency takes
Mhm.
place, or what happens if, you know, I need to call and get support, or what happens if I run out of breath and I don't have the ability
Mhm.
to do that, or what happens if I need to go out and go grocery shopping, or I need to go continue to put food on the table, which means keeping a job or managing bills or managing assets,
Right.
then understanding the what if without becoming crazy nutsy obsessed about it, it really becomes an organizational job. And you and I talked, and I said, taking care of my parents, and I did it from 1,200 miles away. So and took them out of a care facility and extended their life by 10 years. I before and after pictures you wouldn't believe. I said, Mom and Dad look better on their deathbed than they did at that care facility. Not that they're all bad, but
Right.
with that saved $260,000 a year taking them out, including having round the clock care in their own home. So
Right.
that's a big difference, the quality of care they got. But in addition, I really looked at this type of care as, I say, it was like mom and dad Inc. This is the term I use.
Mom and
I,
Dad.
as an entrepreneur and business corporate world, I knew how to run a business. It didn't have to be, but taking care of a parent or a loved one is truly understanding the complexity of running a small, complex
Business.
enterprise. And if
Yeah.
you can do that, not that you have to be an entrepreneur to do so, if you can do that and organize, then you will slowly be able to keep your own life in check.
Mhm.
There are stressful moments. Granted, my saving grace was the rowing machine. Sometimes I sat on that thing for an hour with the TV going just to say, it's an hour to myself. Like, okay.
Exactly.
And I was not pumped,
Exactly.
but it
Yeah. It's you almost have to I can't say compartmentalize. I can't say the word.
seize the
Oh,
day.
yeah, so I had
Seize
to
the
pretty
moment.
much just put myself in this bubble
Yeah.
and flip the switch to on and just go, go, go until I fell in the bed, exhausted. I go to sleep, wake up, rinse and repeat. And it was difficult, you guys. And that's why we're talking about this
And you
because,
probably isolated from friends and other people, and
of course,
and
yes.
because you've got this excuse, well, I can't do that. Well, yes, you
Mhm.
can. I mean, worst case scenario, go to lunch with a friend and take mom with you.
Yes.
They'll understand. And if they don't understand,
Mhm.
they are not a
They're
friend.
not your friend.
It's time to shed
Mhm.
the deadwood, the old ball and chains of friends that don't understand and don't empathize and can't be part of sharing with you. Those are not
Mhm.
friends. Get rid of them.
Can we talk about the economic impact? Because
Mhm.
caregiving responsibilities, have financial implications, especially for caregivers, such as reduced work hours, loss of employment, increased out-of-pocket expenses related to caregiving duties. Can you speak a little bit about how,
Mm.
if possible, that we can balance the caregiving, the financials, our own family, ourself? I mean, how do we do this financially, or is there a way?
Well, the here's sort of the dirty little secret and the lie that I think care facilities and the aging care industry, predominantly we're talking about facilities right now, which is where a big expense is, are really lying to us. They say that putting a loved one into a care facility is less expensive than keeping them at home. That's not necessarily true.
Mm.
Because, and this is one of the things that I do is I review care facility contracts and coach people through that. Everything is negotiable, and you have to go into understanding that. But if you're taking a parent into, or a loved one into, a care facility and thinking about that to relieve your own stress, understand that what you're signing today is not what is going to happen down the road. I had a friend who has declared bankruptcy as a result. It's not the only story out there. But they start at, say, let's say 35 or 37, if that's independent. Then, they need a little extra help. So here's this. A meal needs to be walked down to them. So there's another $12.
So they
There's
nickel and dime
another
you.
$15. Oh, wait a second. Medication management. There's an $800 a month because now we've got 2 pills. If it's 5 pills, it's going to cost you close to $900 a month. And it's the ka-ching that goes on.
Mhm.
And people don't know how to ask questions, how to read contracts, and learn where they have an exit, if they have to, and what goes on. And when you start complaining, you become a PITA. A TA is like pain in the you know what to those people, right?
You could
And
say it.
pain in the ass. That you become a pain in the ass to those folks, really. And you're a problem. And the only way they solve problems is by adding another dollar signal, another dollar sign onto your bill.
Mm.
Our bill went from $3,500 a month to $30,000 a month and climbing. And it was
That's
going to get worse
crazy.
because they wanted to separate my parents, who would have died if they separated them,
Right.
to another where mom would be on the floor in a dementia wing. And that was going to start at $15,000 a month. Not unusual. So with, $15,000 a month, and dad was going to be at a different level and he was going to need some help. And, then, so if you had both of them in the same memory wing, which dad did not have memory issues, but to be away from mom, he would have died. Even if it was on the second floor, he would have worried his heart out. It was not going to happen.
Exactly.
So that would have been 30 right there. That's without the extra care that they needed. So there's this sneaky little thing that happens, and then there's continued care facilities. I mean, I'm getting a little bit more technical, but those are where you buy in at a certain rate. It could be anywhere from $500,000 to $1 million plus to enter these things. Now that doesn't include the monthly fee for this, that, and the other
Food.
thing that goes on. Right, food. And some only give you one meal, so now you're on your own for the rest. So how does that all happen? And so the whole concept of care or care facilities outside the home becomes this matrix, this puzzle that people are not prepared to even ask about. We know more about how to purchase a car. Seriously, if you
Yes.
want to buy that fancy Mustang or Jaguar or even a Honda,
You've done your homework.
you do more homework on your car. You got to at least maybe go to Consumer Reports and check that out. But Consumer Reports doesn't talk about care facilities. And a not-for-profit is not necessarily better than a for-profit.
Right. Can you speak to the family that is trying to prepare for a relative, could be a mom, dad, that's about to live with them? What kind of advice would you give to a family that this is going to happen in about a month or so? How do they prepare? What's the best way to prepare?
Well, the first thing is, does mom or dad, do they have to move into your house? Or can you keep them at home and get the support that they need? It's possible to do both, depending upon what you want to do. If they are moving into your home, I would highly recommend that you consider getting outside help. You must be comfortable bringing outside people that you do not know into your home, into your private space. That's personally invasive.
Yes.
It's hard. So if you're doing that, that's key. Do not do it yourself. I was talking to a fellow the other day who's taking care of his dad. He quit his job. Don't quit your job.
Don't quit your job.
Don't quit your job. Yeah. Here's 40% of people will quit their job. The problem there is going back to work afterwards.
Yes.
It's very difficult to break in because not that you can't say what you said, but you are going to, not intentionally, but the workforce and the employer is going to look down upon you because you had to do this. Something's wrong. It's not wrong. It's just what it is.
Yeah.
And it's wrong for them to think that. But
It
unfortunately,
is.
there are these biases that happen in our work environment. So you're not up to date. You've been out for 5 years or 10 years or whatever it is. You don't know what's going on. You're unemployable.
And even if you tell them, they're like, okay, that doesn't, they
go ahead and
can't
be a
relate.
Walmart greeter. Who wants to be a Walmart greeter?
Yeah,
Okay,
but they can't relate. These recruiters and stuff can't relate. So they're like,
or if they
okay.
do, then they get it. They understand. But they'll still hire somebody who's coming from another job versus from home.
Well, I think that was some good advice, only because we knew that my mother could not stay home by herself. As I said before, my mom's diabetic. She would sit in her recliner all day and might eat once a day. And as you know,
you're sitting in a recliner, you bed sores or
she would get depressed, and the TV was her constant companion.
And that's okay.
And we realized that this wasn't, working for her. And she came to live with me and my husband, who was supposed to be 2 weeks. It ended up being 2 months until my brother was able to get the in-law suite ready for my mom to, for her to move in. And it just opened my eyes to this whole thing, to this whole
But you took
caregiving
this on
thing.
yourself 100%. You did not
I
get a
did.
support.
I did
Like,
not, because I'm used 2 weeks.
right. How
I
bad
could
can
do
it be?
2 weeks, and then it became longer, and
Well, think
it was
about
just.
this. So, it's one thing if a parent is bathing an infant or a child, right?
Mhm.
Now it's your job to help your mother undress, to bathe her and help her toilet and wipe herself. That's a whole nother role that our parents are not ready for and may be very uncomfortable
Mhm.
with,
Yes.
right? And
Yes.
it's uncomfortable for us. Like, all of a sudden, like, I got to bathe dad. Like,
Yeah.
my husband's one thing, but dad, that,
Yeah.
like,
I know.
dad's hoo-ha, how do I take care of that?
Yeah, it can be very uncomfortable, but can we speak a little bit to what caregivers? So if you find yourself, you can't afford a facility, mom and or dad are
Mhm.
coming to live with your family.
Right.
What kinds of things can caregivers do to help themselves? And what I mean by that is because, caregivers are at a higher risk of experiencing physical and mental health issues,
And physical,
chronic
yeah.
stress, depression, anxiety, sleep disorders.
Right.
Hello, that was me,
Yeah.
compared to non caregivers. So, what kind of things can potential caregivers do for themselves? How can they set themselves up for success?
So one thing I would say is you have to create boundaries, right? There are certain you can't jump at, well, you can, but that's when it becomes a problem. At every beck and call that your mom or dad, I need you all
Mhm.
the time, and to be sitting there with them, you need your space. And
Yes,
it's
you do.
they need their space, but they need their space too.
Mhm,
They need their time. They need to be able to be quiet by themselves. They need to
mhm,
be able to enjoy a TV show or do something on their own
mhm.
or just quietly sleep which they will do, fall asleep in front of the
Yes,
television. It's
yes.
okay. Guess what? They are still breathing.
They're
And if
fine.
they're not, your job is done. I mean, sorry. Yeah, humor,
Yes.
all it's a
Oh,
critical humor.
critical.
And being able to get away, and like it's bubble
Mhm.
pop. I don't recommend bubble popping in the car in the garage. I would recommend getting out and just doing something and going away for a while.
I was
And
desperate, Nancy. I was
I know, I
desperate.
get it. I get it. I slept with my phone by my bed, which was a bad thing because it's like you talk about
Mhm.
PTSD. I heard the phone ringing even when it wasn't ringing in
Wasn't
the middle of the
ringing.
night,
Yeah.
expecting,
Mhm,
I was there. So I get it. It's just
mhm.
because I did it and managed this didn't mean I didn't have moments of like, oh my God, what the hell am I doing? Right.
Right.
And when is that next call coming? But that's critical. And look at if you're caring for somebody at home, if you can get an aide in or somebody to come in, even it's for like 2 or 3 hours a day, that's
To give
amazing.
yourself a break.
It's something, right? The
Yes.
VA should have programs called respite care where
Mhm,
you be able to take a parent and have them either move into a VA facility for a short period of time so that you can get that. Some programs actually have benefits where there's respite care for the caregiver, so they bring in aides
mhm.
to do so. I was just talking to a friend, the Connecticut Husky system, healthcare system for Medicaid, actually is, I think she said she was able to get $37,000 a year worth of expenses for aides. Now
Mhm.
that's going to go, it's not going to go very far,
Right.
but
It's
it's
something.
hiring, there's two ways to hire. So there's hiring through an agency, which has its pluses and minuses, and then hiring independently, which also has
Mhm.
its pluses and minuses. So if you're hiring through an agency, interview the agency extremely well,
Mhm.
knowing that they're going to send out different aides every time. That's hard on your parent. not knowing that person, who that is, and coming in.
Exactly.
And it's hard on you because you've got a stranger. You don't, yeah, they're licensed and
Yeah. Well,
agent.
there's added stress right there.
I
It's
mean,
somebody you don't know is in your house.
right? We had worked with an agency early on with my folks. I fired the agency. And even though the aides were supposedly vetted, um, no pun intended here, my dad panicked and asked her to drive him to the bank, and he had the safe deposit box drilled out. I had an idea what was in there, but I didn't have a full listing of contents. We
Right.
couldn't find those contacts. Oh, the aide who we found had the contents in the trunk of her car.
Oh,
I know there were things in there that never made it back,
right.
including cash.
Oh my goodness.
But there's no
You
way
just
to
have to,
validate it.
yeah, it takes a leap of faith. And sometimes, when it comes
Yeah.
to your family, especially your mom and dad, you want the best of the best, if at all possible. I do know the one thing that I did learn is that, if your parent or whomever you're caregiving for, give them things to do. Like my mother wanted to feel like she was part of something. So
We all need a
I
purpose.
would
We all
get,
need a purpose,
yeah,
right?
I would get clothes out of the dryer and say, Mom, here's some clothes if you want to, and she go, oh, okay, I would say, Mom, dinner's ready. And she would get up and go get her dinner and sit, just little
Set
things.
the
Oh, I'll
table.
take out the garbage, stuff like that. So those are things that
Or
I
mom,
have
tell me a
learned.
story. Like,
Yeah.
if they've got dementia, don't worry about it. But just say, you know,
Mhm.
tell me a story that you love, right?
Right.
And just sit there and listen.
Mhm.
You can fall asleep.
Yeah.
They may
Oh,
not notice,
yeah.
right?
I didn't think about that.
Right? Mom, tell me a
To
story.
fall asleep instead of my mom.
Right?
Oh my goodness.
But
So
those are critical. And just know that if you're hiring an aide, whether it's to an agency or yourself by yourself, hire for attitude, bring an aide in for attitude. Do not bring them in for competency necessarily. If they love and care and are willing to be compassionate to somebody and
right,
gentle, but firm. I mean, there's a difference between gentle and being a pushover and
right.
being firm without being nasty.
Exactly.
Um, and somebody who listens. It
Mhm,
goes, this stuff is not rocket science. Dressing, toileting, feeding, bathing,
mhm.
it's not skilled nursing, but it takes a heart and a head
Yes,
that's
it does.
balanced to do well. And
Someone who
if that
cares.
works, then you're set.
Yeah, someone who cares.
Yeah.
Nancy, this is just one of these conversations I feel like we're going to be having more and more as we move along.
Absolutely.
But I know that you have a couple books and all this. Where can people find you? Tell us about your books, where you can find your books,
So
and
the
what you've got
book,
coming up.
thank you. The book is called How to Survive 911 Medical Emergencies. It's a step-by-step guide before, during, and after. We go through how do you prepare your home should there be an emergency. The key issues: hoarding is a problem with a lot of elderly, and I
Yes.
know of paramedics and first responders who have gotten severely injured and cannot work again because of tripping over things in the home.
Mm,
Right, even to having pets. Right, you don't want a dog
yes.
biting the guy
Right.
coming in to save mom. To how to make sure that you're getting better care in the emergency department, what to sign, how not to sign, or how to sign so that you don't become financially responsible, how to get out of the hospitals faster, and where to go, how to make a decision, a care facility, what happens in rehab, and even down the road, like what happens if the 911 system is down. Just the other day, we had like cell phone service, like went out, right?
Yes.
The
Yes.
911 system was down. How do you get help when the 911 system is down? Because we all rely on cell phones. Very few of us have landline phones. And there's a step to do that. The book is not available on Kindle yet, but it will be soon. And we're getting ready to do book 2.0. It's not that much different, but
Mhm.
the basics are here in the book, and you can get that on Amazon or go to
Mhm.
howtosurvive911.com, and the podcast Elder Care Success, which you can get to at eldercaresuccess.live, and you can get it on all your listening platforms there, and you can subscribe as well.
Well, Nancy, thank you for speaking to our audience. And this is just, I think this needs to be front of mind, especially the older we get. And, realizing, I mean, this situation can go from, oh, we're having a great time, to holy crap, mom and dad are coming to live with us. It can happen that
overnight.
fast.
It happens overnight.
And so you have to be prepared. And if I find myself in that situation, I'm calling Nancy, you guys. I'm like, help me, SOS.
Right. And, and I do talk to, consult with people. Can call me and we can set up a consulting, call or whatnot for, I do it for a small stipend. But even still, I was on the phone with somebody the other day, and within 30 minutes, we figured out how to save $7,500.
Nancy, where can people find you if they need to ask a question, or they just
the easiest way to do it is go to eldercaresuccess.live. On that podcast page, you can send me a note, ask me a question. You can send me an audiogram. There's a button on the side of the page. It says send Nancy a voicemail message. I will respond. It's easy to reach me there. And, I'm on Facebook too, but that's probably the fastest way to get me. Listen to the podcast and just reach out through that. I will respond. And just know it's not a matter of, when, it's a matter of, or if, it's a matter of when. And more people are hitting that retirement age and finding that they're taking care of their parents. And guess what? Your retirement is gone, or you may be taking care of kids yourself. You're sandwiched between that. Yes. What do you do? And employers are not ready for this. No. Our employers don't care. They really don't.
That's sad.
It makes me sad. You are part of a productivity team, and if you can't produce, then
they'll get somebody who can.
They will. They will. Yeah.
Well, Nancy, thank you so much for being here. I feel like we need to discuss this more at a later date.
Whenever I'm here.
Everyone else, please, I hope you got something out of today. Like I said, maybe this situation isn't now, but it could be tomorrow. It could be next year, next month, next week. You just never, ever know.
It could be tonight.
It could be tonight.
Hopefully not.
But Nancy's that go-to person that if you have questions, you really need to reach out to her. Because I would, if I found myself in this situation again, I would definitely reach out to her and say, how can I do this better? So until next time, please stay safe, take care of each other. Until next time, and remember, it's never too late to start your impossible.
Thank you, Kat. That was wonderful.